I'm Aaron Brady with AutoQ, and I want to walk through recommended setup for the QMaster Prompter software package featuring the QBox. As you'll see, this is different from all other prompter packages because it's IP-based, and this affords it quite a bit of flexibility. And I encourage you to have a look at our videos covering advanced setup for distance prompting, multi-head prompting, and autonomous operation with the QBox. Let's first have a look at the standard QMaster setup. Our standard package includes the following: the QMaster software application, it's delivered on a USB flash drive, a separate USB dongle key for authorizing the software to launch, a Shuttle Pro scroll controller, the QBox with AC power supply, IEC cable, and a network patch cable. Other items you'll need for setup: a USB keyboard, and a composite video monitor for the QBox. A prompter monitor will do, of course. Our first step will be to connect all of the items according to the diagram on the autoload file that will appear when the USB thumb drive is plugged into the computer. Recommended standard setup is as follows: connect the QMaster computer to the network, then connect the QBox to the network using the included patch cable, though any patch cable can be used. Note that DHCP address assignments can be used with the QBox, but a static IP assignment is preferred and recommended for a more stable setup. Also note that the default setting of the QBox is for DHCP address assignment. This can be changed, of course, in the QBox configuration mode. We'll next need to connect the QBox to a power source. Now this can be AC power using the included 12-volt DC power supply and IEC cable, or the QBox can be connected to a 12-volt DC power source like a battery using the 4-pin XLR power input. Then we'll plug the Shuttle Pro scroll controller into one of the USB ports on the QBox, and we'll also plug in the USB keyboard into one of the USB ports on the QBox. And finally, we'll connect the composite video monitor to one of the available BNC connections on the back of the QBox. Before we install the QMaster application, we'll need to get the IP address of the QBox. In most cases, this will be a static assignment from your network administrator, but you can also find this address using the USB keyboard in case you don't have the IP address handy, or if you've chosen to use a DHCP assignment. To get the IP address of the QBox, you invoke the on-screen display by pressing the F5 key on the USB keyboard that's plugged into the QBox. While you have this menu open, we'll want to note the firmware version of your QBox, as that will inform your decision for which QBox support option to check when installing the QMaster application. Now that we've connected all of the components and gathered the required information, we're ready to install the QMaster application. You are required to be logged in as administrator to install, but you're not required to be an administrator or power user to run the application. Be sure not to plug in the USB dongle key during setup, as it will null the key and will probably require you to install the QMaster application again. Let's get started. So we'll double-click on the setup icon to begin installation. You'll be shown a splash screen confirming the application you're installing is QMaster, and you can click Next. Your first dialog will request that you point the QMaster installer to your license file. Now this license file is named license.dat, and it's usually saved on the main directory of the USB thumb drive. You don't need to select the file in this dialog, you only need to select the directory containing the file. After you've directed the installer to the license file, read through the QMaster license agreement. If you accept the terms, you'll be taken to the next step in the installation process. Your next dialog will ask what software components need to be installed. We'll select QMaster, of course, and we'll also select the appropriate QBox support. If your QBox firmware starts with a 1, then select QBox version 1 only. If the firmware version starts with a 2, then select QBox version 2 only. Selecting the wrong support option or more than one support option may prevent the QBox from connecting to the QMaster application and may require you to install the QMaster application again. After confirming the components you wish to install, you'll need to confirm where the installer should place the program and supporting components. The default location will be in the C directory, and for most installations this will be fine. The last dialog will be your reminder to unplug the USB dongle key. Now, the dongle key is the USB device with the red tag attached to it. This tag contains the license number that the dongle is programmed to match, and it'll be your indicator for which USB device should not be plugged in. Once you've confirmed, the remainder of the installer will run, and you'll get a notification that QMaster is installed correctly, and you're ready to launch the application. Now let's plug in that USB dongle key and double-click the QMaster icon on the desktop. The first time you launch the application, QMaster will do two things. First, QMaster will note that your scroll control configuration is invalid or missing. This is expected. Click OK when prompted, and the scroll control configuration menu will open automatically. You can also navigate to the controller configuration menu by clicking the Tools menu, selecting Options, expanding the QBox Prompt Engines menu, and selecting Scroll Controls. Now from the controller list, you'll need to select the Fidget Encoder. Now this will allow you to proceed without a scroll controller connected to the QMaster computer directly. Second, QMaster will take you through a QBox connection wizard. The first field in the wizard is arbitrary, and most people enter the serial number of the QBox. Note that you can't use any spaces or special characters in this field. In the next field, we'll enter the IP address of the QBox. In the very last field, the port should remain 5000. Once you enter the information and click Next, you'll be given a summary of the information you entered so you can check to make sure all of it is accurate. If it is, click Next, and a dialog will show while QMaster is connecting to the QBox. A confirmation dialog will appear when it's successful. We can click OK, and the QBox status panel will appear. It will show an entry for the QBox with a blue circle icon, and the status will note Master. Once connected, you no longer need the QBox status panel, so you can close it, but if you need to refer to it again for troubleshooting or for advanced configurations, you can find it by clicking the Prompt menu, selecting the QBox status panel, which will be near the bottom of the command list. Now you're ready to import scripts, type scripts directly into QMaster, or open an existing QMaster file. To interface with the Newsroom system, please refer to the Newsroom Setup section in the QMaster manual. Once you're ready, you can click the prompt icon in the menu bar to begin prompting. Don't forget to check out the other videos in this series to learn more about advanced configurations for the QMaster Prompter software package.